Okay.
Nice meeting you.
We come through Miami again
Next year.
Yeah.
Next year, for sure. Oh, yeah.
I'll come see you play.
Oh, really?
Deal?
Okay, deal. That's a deal.
Erik Spoelstra just sent a message to the entire tennis world without ever stepping on a tennis court. Before the Miami Open 2026 even gets fully underway, the Miami Heat head coach made headlines by personally inviting Alex Eala to attend the Miami Heat's matchup against the Orlando Magic. And the way he welcomed her was nothing short of superstar treatment. This was not a casual celebrity appearance. This was not a simple courtside invite with a quick photo and a handshake. This was one of the most respected coaches in basketball going out of his way to personally host one of the most exciting young names in women's tennis. And it says everything about how big Ayala's rise has truly become. What made the moment so powerful was how personal it felt. Spoelstra did not simply grant Eala access to the arena. He reportedly walked her through the Miami Heat facilities himself, showing her around like a proud host welcoming someone truly special into his world. Think about what that means. Erik Spoelstra is one of the busiest and most respected figures in the entire NBA. A championship coach, a proven leader, a man whose schedule leaves little room for anything outside of basketball. And yet, he made time to personally escort Eala, speak with her, encourage her, and treat her as though she absolutely belonged in that environment. That kind of respect is not given freely. It is earned. And Eala has clearly reached a point where major figures across the sports world are recognizing exactly who she is and everything she represents.
I haven't been for, I don't know, probably for a handful of years.
Oh.
Now I need to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright,
sure.
of course.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
The emotional layer behind all of this made the moment even bigger. Spoelstra, a proud Filipino-American and one of the most prominent Filipino figures in American sports, was clearly moved by watching another Filipino athlete rise on the international stage. You could almost feel the pride behind the gesture. This was bigger than one invitation to one NBA game. This was about representation. This was about one trailblazer acknowledging another. This was about Spoelstra seeing in Eala the kind of potential, discipline, and global impact that can inspire millions of people, especially those who rarely get to see themselves reflected at the highest levels of international sport. According to the story, Spoelstra did far more than simply welcome her. He shared stories with Eala, spoke to her in a way designed to inspire, and encouraged her journey as she continues to carve out her place in world tennis. Imagine being Alex Eala in that moment. You are already carrying enormous expectations. You are already one of the most talked about young athletes heading into one of the biggest tournaments on American soil. And then a championship-winning coach like Erik Spoelstra pulls you aside and speaks to you from experience, from pride, and from genuine belief. Those are the kinds of moments athletes carry with them for the rest of their careers. And if that was not enough, Spoelstra reportedly told Eala to come back whenever she is in Miami. That detail matters. It shows this was not a promotional moment or a one-off public relations move. It felt genuine. It felt like an open door from someone who sees her as family, as someone worth supporting, as someone whose journey deserves to be celebrated. That is exactly why fans reacted so strongly. People could sense it was real. They could tell Spoelstra was not simply being polite. He was proud. He was invested. And he was in awe of what Eala is becoming. Then came another layer that made the entire experience even more memorable. Spoelstra escorted Eala to the stands, introduced her to the atmosphere, and gave her the opportunity to meet Miami Heat players. For any rising athlete, that is a special moment. But for Eala, who is already operating in a world where every week brings a new spotlight, it carried deeper meaning. It showed that she is no longer simply a promising tennis player trying to get noticed. She is someone recognized by elite athletes across different sports, respected for her presence, her discipline, and the way she carries herself. And the Miami Heat did not let the moment stay private. The organization shared Eala's visit on Instagram and publicly wished her well ahead of the Miami Open. That move sent the story into an even wider orbit. When a professional franchise like the Miami Heat puts its platform behind a young tennis star, it amplifies everything. It tells fans, sponsors, and fellow athletes that this is someone worth watching. It tells the sports world that Eala is not just another player entering a tournament. She is an emerging global figure whose momentum is impossible to ignore. What makes this even more fascinating is that this Miami Heat moment is not happening in isolation. It is part of a larger pattern. Since arriving in America, Eala has been drawing attention not just from tennis circles, but from major brands and major institutions. She is moving through spaces typically reserved for the biggest names in sport, and she is doing it with a blend of poise, humility, and magnetism that makes people want to rally behind her. That brings us to Nike, because Eala's reported visit there turned even more heads. Rumors had been circulating beforehand, with people speculating about her relationship with the brand and what it might mean. But the story surrounding her visit felt like something far larger than a standard endorsement reveal. Rather than a quiet corporate announcement, the narrative painted a picture of Nike welcoming her in spectacular fashion, hosting an exclusive event and making clear just how seriously they view her future. And this is where things begin to feel almost surreal. The story describes an Alex Eala gallery inside Nike headquarters, a dedicated space celebrating her most iconic moments in tennis. Novak Djokovic reportedly remarking that Eala is impressive on television, but even more so in person is a statement that carries enormous weight. Coming from one of the greatest players the sport has ever produced, that kind of comment suggests there is something about her game, her movement, her aura, and her overall presence that cameras still cannot fully capture. Some athletes possess that quality. They are remarkable on screen, but standing in front of them, they feel different, sharper, more explosive, more commanding, more complete. If Djokovic truly sees that in Eala, then the entire sports world should be paying very close attention.
I have to figure it out. I was really blown away by how inspired she was. I mean, I was blown away by watching.
Djokovic reportedly framed her rise in the best possible way and for all the right reasons. Not because of controversy, not because of hype without substance, not because of gimmicks, but because she is earning attention through her performance, her professionalism, and the way she is steadily carving out her place on the WTA tour. That is the kind of praise every young athlete dreams of hearing because it validates not just talent, but character. And when validation comes from someone at that level, it carries a weight that no headline or social media moment can replicate. Jessica Pegula's reported comments also fit this growing picture perfectly. The idea that she would want Eala on her podcast is revealing in its own right. It means people are not simply interested in her forehand or her match results. They are interested in her energy, her story, her perspective, and the effect she is already having on the sport around her. Eala is becoming someone worth talking about far beyond the scoreboard. She is becoming a voice, a presence, and a personality that the broader sports world genuinely wants to hear from. And that is when you know an athlete has begun to break through into an entirely different category. Not just a competitor to watch, but a figure to follow.
Yeah, I mean, she's really good tennis player. Goes for her shots, takes the ball early, rips. Being a lefty is always tricky, competes really well. I mean, obviously she's beaten a lot of top players this week. I don't really think she needs me to tell her that she's a great player, that we're not going to see enough of her, but we definitely are. And she proved that tonight. I mean, that was really tough.
Alex Eala is no longer simply a promising player with a bright future ahead of her. She is becoming a symbol of what the next era of women's tennis could look like. Young, fearless, globally relevant, and impossible to overlook. From the Miami Heat to Nike to words of praise from tennis royalty, the signs are everywhere and they are impossible to misread. The sports world is not just watching her anymore. It is welcoming her, investing in her, and positioning itself to be part of whatever comes next. People are not waiting to see how the story unfolds. They are already making their move because those who have been around greatness long enough know how to recognize it before the rest of the world catches up. And if Erik Spoelstra's reaction tells us anything, it is that the people closest to excellence can already see exactly where this is heading. The invitation, the personal tour, the open door, the pride in his eyes. None of that was accidental. It was the response of someone who looked at Alex Eala and saw something rare. Something that does not come around very often. And something that, when it does, changes everything.